It was on this day 30 years ago in 1996 that the Dubstar song Stars got to number 15 in the UK Top 40. It was our highest chart placing. And although it was just sort of part of the roller coaster of events that were going on for the act at the time, I think it's clear to me now that this was a momentous occasion. And of course, as I've mentioned many times, Stars is still being played on the radio and in various other media all across the world to this very day, which is delightful. I looked over my notes from 1996, and I also thought to look back to my notes from 1991 and 92, which was around the time that Stars was written. And I was struck by a few things that I just want to share with you. Because, you know, the world of music has changed a lot. But actually, it feels to me like our worlds, like our personal worlds, haven't really changed that much. I noticed that in my notes from 1996, I was concerned about people criticising those of us, and I use us advisedly, who were politically correct. And I was just reflecting then on when I was much younger, what we would at that time call politically correct. These people were then, you know, back in the 1970s were referred to as hippies, you know, and then in the 80s, people like us were referred to as being right on, you know. I think that was something that was even in the young ones. And so in the 90s, we were called politically correct. But now, of course, we're called woke. And it just struck me that through all that time, there's always been a kind of pressure against people who are trying to be kind, trying to make things better for everyone, trying to be inclusive. This struggle is not a new thing. Here's another thing that's not a new thing. I noticed from the notes from earlier on in the 90s that I was commenting that we were being told to be afraid or scared of single mothers. Remember that? Do you remember that at all? Single mothers. Single mothers were the bane of our culture, and we couldn't afford them. And of course, going hand in hand with single mothers was benefit scroungers. And then, as the 90s went on, single mothers forgot about them, forgot about benefit scroungers, and it moved on to asylum seekers. They were going to be the people who were going to bring down our society. Of course, skip forward to today, and every day in our social media, we're told about the danger of migrants in whatever form that they take. Seems like things simply don't change, do they? Speaking of which, when I was growing up, we were told that the people to be scared of were the black people. The black people who had appeared in our towns and were taking our jobs. And that then moved on to Muslims. And now flash forward to today, and we have politicians of today telling us that mass worship events in public spaces are a bad thing. You know, be afraid of them. We should ban them. Again, it's the same kind of thing. You know, I know when I was in my teens, in the 80s, a big deal was people being gay. And their inclusion in the wider community and in entertainment was something that was properly celebrated, I think, for the first time. And this became more and more apparent as the years went on. But then the people who would keep gay people out of the limelight, they moved their spotlight. And it went from gays to bisexuals. Bisexuals who you can't trust. You know, that's the trope, isn't it, in the media? If you ever see a even today, find a bisexual character, they're almost certainly not a trustworthy character. That's what that sort of signifier means. And we can flip all the way through. And today, The kind of homosexuality thing, the queer thing has kind of been resolved, kind of. I don't want to overstate that. So we now have to turn our attention to trans people. I think that what I would take from this is that those struggles that we thought were resolved are not resolved. The struggle goes on. But you know what? When I wrote Stars, I felt that the world was kind of coming to an end. The stars are going out. That was the metaphor. But the stars didn't go out. The stars didn't go out. And the stars are not going to go out now. But what we have to be mindful. We have to keep up the good fight. We have to avoid cynicism. And we have to remember that those difficulties, those pressures, those people who would turn us against ourselves, against each other, they'll always be with us. We need to be vigilant. We need to be strong. And the difficulties that we face right now, there'll be a version of this in 30 years' time. But even the darkest days, even the hardest things that we're facing on the 30th of March in 2026 will pass. Kindness will prevail.